To prepare for the Greenify membership to attend a couple of the meeting upcoming of the end of this January, we're gonna have the first meeting with the groups of Asian leaders about the climate change and go through some suggestion and debrief of the work in the COP 28. And we're gonna have another two meeting on January 30 related to EcoSoft, sustainability educations, and the SDG 16 of the international partnership. That require the member of Greenify need to have some preparation of the background knowledge and what we're going to do up there and how we understand the key idea and the framework that go through in the international community now today. So today we're going to go through with the COP 28, the COP in general ideas and what we expect to see and expect to discuss in the meeting of this Friday. That's American time. So this will be Saturday, the morning Saturday in Hong Kong times and Vietnam times. All right, let's start. So the idea is see the panel that COP 28 just happened last year, December, and it belongs to the program called UNFCCC. And let's pretend that we don't know what that means. What we got to do, we just try to break down some terms and some idea we expect to see in there. First, we coming in when coming in sustainability, development, and international effort, and we trust in the information of the United Nations. And we have in here is this is their website, the only official website of UNFCCC. FCCC is called unfccc.int. I mean, international. It's the homepage. It goes showing with COP 28. Key highlight all the information we need. There's some short of news and process, some key idea and document up here. Even when we not coming in this type of the conference, we still can attract all the information in here. That's a good thing about international cooperation because where they all see it. The transparency is the key things to build up the collective or collaborative support to this effort globally. Well, let's see what this UNFCCC is. They have it already in that page. We'll see the process of meeting. We have some general definition of the UNFCCC. Actually, it's just the UN is the United Nations, that great cooperation, multilateral system we have of the mankind. FCCC is a framework convention on climate change. We know that this initiative focused on climate change. It will enter in force in March 1994. Have what they call is near universal membership, which is it just means that all of the members of the United Nations, 198 now, who will be ratified the convention. They call the party. Remember this. When you go into the COP, we know what the parties mean. So the purpose of this initiative is to prevent dangerous human interfere with the climate system. Yeah, see that the ultimate aim. So this initiative from United Nations is focused on climate change and start from 1994. So we go some brief idea in here. First, we go through it like what we do in diagnostic the issues what we tried last year. That we got to see that there was a problem. There's no argue about that. We have a problem in here. 1994, right? When this initiative take effect, we'll see a timeline later. So at that context, there are less scientific evidence. So people don't know what is a climate change or not. In global perspective, we just see that, well, it be like that. It's all right. We adapt it. We are monkey. It's all right. But actually, when you go see a scientific side, the scientists see that there's some human interference in the climate system that lead into climate change, and it's not good. We got to do something with that. So that whole thing, UNFCCC and the fight toward climate change happen. It's all based on scientific evidence. and we start to believe in that. And now you know that why United Nations and all kind of SDG all based on scientific knowledge. But that is only way you can approach is to the objective trust that we can have out there without any other people mixed opinion, belief, bias, all kind of thing that make us cannot collaborate each other. So Montreal Protocol is the most successful multilateral environmental treaty in history, and UNFCCC is just borrow, back end of that agreement and moving up. So what they try to do is want the member state to act, right, in the interest of human safety, even in the face of scientific uncertainty. That does mean that even we don't have clearly 1000% said, right, sure, it's up there scientifically, we're still urging some action on there. Second, we set up lofty specific goal, which is really important. Without a goal, we're hitting nowhere. So the ultimate objective of this convention is stabilize the greenhouse gas concentration at the level that would prevent dangerous anthropogenic, right? Whatever related to anthropos mean human, interfere with the climate system. What it means that we hold the greenhouse gas in a certain level that reasonable and not really create a significant change of the climate system. Because we, as a human being, when we're breathing in and out, it's not really the big deal. We have the forests out there who can control and circulate it. But when we have vehicle, when we have factory, when we try to do something crazy like war and bombing people, that greenhouse gas created and started being really dangerous level. So how we can get it? We got it with a time frame sufficient that allow the ecosystem to adapt naturally to climate change, which is mean that we cannot remove all of the greenhouse gases we release to the nature, but we don't release too much that make the ecosystem cannot take time to adapt with it. We just lower it down. We say it's zero. Well, that is really huge goal, but hard to get it. It's pretty hard to get it. Let's make something specific and realistic, which is at a certain level that ecosystem can adapt it, the lung of the planet can adapt it, and you got to have some time frame. So that is the key idea of the specific goal here. You need to have time, and need to have the level, the number. And now we see that when ecosystem will adapt with this, food production is not threatened. So it is still, we still can do farming and planning, and economic development is still, we still keep the economic development. We don't sacrifice economic. We don't sacrifice development just because we want to save this planet. We want to balance it. We want to balance between ecosystem, food security, and economy. And it's still the same manner now today, achieving the SDG. We want to balance social development, environmental development, and economic development. We're all three component development. We just don't want to get one of that extremely and sacrifice two other. It's not sustainable. When one is say something sustainability, you got to maintain it in a long period of time. That's a key idea we have since last year. Okay, we can define the terms dangerous, anthropogenic, interfere, which is what human do, interfere. What do human do? Interfering in this short circle of climate change, right? And it's dangerous. And we'll have some reported here. Okay, you put the onus on the developed country as to lead the way, which is important. Okay. Industrialized country is the most source of current greenhouse emission, and even in the past. So they need to cut it. To do the most to cut it is home ground. They call Annex 1 country, which is industrialized country, and belong to the OECD, the Organization of Economic Cooperation Development, is in Europe. 12 countries. Right. OECD, Central and Eastern Europe. Yeah, this is in 1984. And now year 1000 to reduce emission back to 1990 level. Right, that's why they call it. You put on the developed countries, but you gotta release the most gas. Cut it out. And next one, direct new fund, which is important. Global perspective. We know that in the report, SDG report 2022, we shortfall a lot of funding for general sustainability development. And they even see that it's in the beginning, 1994. Nobody cared about this. Nobody believed in that. That's why we shortfall by the fund on that too. So developing country, what they need, where they developing, they need money. That's clearly what they say. Okay, so industrial nation, they do agree to support climate change activity of developing country, right, by providing financial support. Above and beyond any financial assistance they already receive. So yeah, that's how we do it. Rich country funding for poor country for a lot of things. Now we're adding one more thing, climate change. Yeah, funding could be go to grant, go with loan, and be managed by the Global Environment Facility, a separate entity to make sure that developing country don't spend it in different way. And also one more thing is the technology. To a less advanced, when we talk about the term of technology, we have advanced and less advanced. And of course, technology is a new capital to fight this kind of war. Okay, we keep tab on the problem, so we can keep tracking. It's just evaluation scientifically. Annex 1 is a developed country, industrialized country. They gotta do report regularly. You gotta measure it. They're governed by Kyoto Protocol. For country who ratify it, couple country, industrialized not ratify it. We'll talk about that later when we have something close to Kyoto Protocol. Annual inventory of the greenhouse gas data, the base year, and on the year I've seen. Yeah, so the base year was 1990, no matter when it's going now. And now they compare with 1990. And why go to that number 1990? Pretty sure they're based on scientific evaluation. And how they see the phenomenon of climate change really goes a little bit extreme or dangerous, the term what it has. They got to go back to 1990 level. Developing country, non-annex 1. So report in general terms the action, so they not really go detail and further evaluation like the annex 1. And how to adapt, but less regularly in annex 1. Sorry, a little bit of discrimination in here, but you guys make this world a little bit dangerous. You got to be focused on fixing it. And get to report on their funding. That was the important thing, right? Okay. Case of a least developed country. Well, we don't want to say it, but we all know that there are some country who is really, really on the bottom, need to be higher support. Okay, chart in the beginning, the path. All right. So we talk about delicate balance in here, which is some important terms. First, economic development. Well, it's vital for a poor country. This progress is already hard to achieve, even without the adding of climate change. So adding climate change, putting more goal, putting more tasks. How are they going to do it? Okay. The share greenhouse gas emission produced by the developing nation. Yeah, we grow in interest of fulfilling the ultimate goal, which is goal the level emission down to 1990. So we want to limit the emission, but don't want hinder the economic progress. We try to have a win-win solution. When the Kyoto Protocol was conceived, which is important paperwork we'll see up here, we'll go with that later. Kick off a formal consideration of adaptation. So the convention acknowledged the vulnerability of all country when effect of climate change. Please don't think that Germany, UK, or United States or Canada would not impact by climate change. It's do. See it, the water is dry, the temperature is higher, more snow, the climate is unpredictable. This is a climate change impact. And now we see that all countries are vulnerable toward the nature. And we go back here, see that we call a special effort to ease the consequences. Okay, especially developing country with a lack of resource to do their own, right? They cannot do it by themselves. They even can take care of themselves. Okay, in the early year of prevention, adaptation received less attraction and mitigation, right? Adaptation and less attraction. But now it's just a logical way. We see the issue is huge, it's dangerous. We don't know much about that. We don't know much of scientific evidence that about climate change, how hard it is, how we measure it, how we evaluate it, how we solve that. Is that solution really effective? We're confused. So we focused on mitigation. We focused on the big player, focused on developed country, industrialized country. But then when we see that after a few years, decade, or a few decades, we see that, well, adaptation is something we're working on too, because now we know that go down to their cutting of the gas emission is not that easy. It's not that fast. It takes time. And during that time, what we got to do? We adapt it. So now adaptation is raising the phenomenology of this work. So we on the way to reduce emission, we also got to think about the vulnerability and its impact to climate change. Yep, IPCC third assessment report. Like later we'll see it in a timeline when it goes. Yeah, now the funding also will be focused, break it down a little bit for adaptation. And go different body of convention have adaptation committee. Have Cancun adaptation framework. Cancun agreement. Major staff. Okay, UNFCCC and Rio Convention. Okay, we call it Rio Convention. 1 with 2 open on signature on Rio Earth Summit. Right, it's just a different name of that based on event. Right, there's an open signature to create the UNFCCC since 1992, and when it collect enough signature to on 198 member of United Nations say let's do it. Let's have some framework that we can collaborate to fight with the climate change. What do you call the name? UNFCCC. All right, I do it. In 1994, they start to be officially launched. That's how they got. Okay, the sister of this convention is UN Convention on Biological Diversity. So this is a sister of UNFCCC and the Convention of Combat Desertification. So all these three are related together. That's why they call intrinsically linked. Okay, so we try to boost cooperation among these three conventions. That is the ultimate aim of this fighting with a mutual concern. That's the basic idea of the UNFCCC. So now we know what this term is and how they do it, right? We try to cut down the emission. We try to focus on 2 types of country, Annex 1, industrialized, and non-Annex 1. That's a developing country. We need more support and funding and technology. And when we go down, both we expect to cut it to 0, but it's hard to achieve. It's not a goal, it's a dream. Our goal is to cut it back to 1990. How to go with this number? You got to go down. This is IPCC and some scientific base of that things up here. If we have more time, we'll discuss about that number. And then that we're hosting some kind of event, and that event is a COP,